Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News Channel. So we're going to talk about ADA, VET, and ICX, what to expect, when will they actually pump. Not really going to talk about how much they can actually pump to. I mean, I'll just say I think I'm waiting for VET 50 cents. I'm waiting for ADA maybe like $2 or so, and I'm waiting for ICX around maybe like $20 if I'm going to sell my ICX because that's about twice its all-time high, and I do think it can reach that, especially with ICX's vast improvements so far. So let's actually not delude ourselves thinking that these coins are at rock bottom right now. They're not. If you look at their January 1st price and their price right now, they've all actually outperformed Bitcoin this year, despite them not really doing much in Bitcoin's recent pump. You have to remember that ICX back in March pumped literally like 400% when Bitcoin basically did nothing. Same thing with VET back in June. Bitcoin didn't do anything. It went up like 300%. ADA went up 400% when Bitcoin did nothing when Bitcoin did nothing, a couple of months ago as well. If you look at the beginning of the year Satoshi value, VET was at like 74, 75 before it dropped, and now it's at like 83. So it's already outperforming Bitcoin. ADA is even much more so. ADA was like 400 something Satoshis at the beginning of this year, and now it's like 800 something Satoshis. So it's almost like doubled its value compared to Bitcoin. So despite it not having done these coins not having done anything over the last few months, while Bitcoin has pumped up, the fact is that they've actually still outperformed Bitcoin, even if you just count from like the beginning of the year until now. ICX has as well. If you remember, ICX at the beginning of the year was roughly 11 cents and it is now 46 cents, which means it's up more than 4x since the beginning of the year. So let's not delude ourselves that these coins are at rock bottom. Rock bottom would have been like when the March disaster hit, like when VET was like one quarter of a penny, when ADA was like 2 point something cents, when ICX was, I forgot exactly what value ICX was back then, but it was pretty low. So let's actually not delude ourselves into actually thinking about that, because we're not at rock bottom. We're not even really that close to rock bottom. They're already 3 or 4x up from what they actually were, but they still have a lot of pumping power left. And we're going to talk about when can we actually expect some movement. ADA, I think, of the three is actually the easiest to target. Goguen is obviously coming out late February. Well, not really Goguen, like the ERC20 converter, which is like Goguen plus ERC20 converter. They're already onboarding some of their clients onto Goguen. So like technically it's kind of already out, just not for public release. It's kind of like a private release that's out, but everything will be public by like late February. So I kind of expect Cardano to pump around February or January. And right now with how big Bitcoin is, that might be the perfect time. So Cardano is the easiest one to peg because you can kind of like peg it to Goguen. And maybe it get to $1, maybe it won't, maybe it only get to 40, 50 cents. We'll have to see. But remember, like 40, 50 cents is like, at its lowest, it was almost like 4 cents. So that's like 10x from like its lowest, not counting the 2 cents that it dipped back in March because of that whole flash crash thing. That's kind of like a once a time thing. It might happen again because, like we printed trillions of dollars. And if we ever stop printing, the economy's going to crash again. But let's just say that's actually not going to really happen. I'm not really sure if that will happen or not, if that's true or not. But ADA, I do think you can peg towards like late January, maybe like sometime in January, February. So if you're actually wanting to get into ADA, you should probably get into it right now. In terms of like VET, it's actually harder to peg. I know we had that 23 million burn yesterday, but that's more of like a one-off thing, at least for right now. I do expect more days above 10 million, but remember, for Vethel burn, we have to get up to 37 million for it to really stick. I sort of expect VeChain to follow the market and then like pump as the money filters into smaller and smaller coins. So I kind of expect it to get around like maybe starting to pump like maybe end of the year, beginning of next year as well. And that's kind of like the same. That's kind of like the same date I have for ICX. ICX has a couple of dates. Like they're kind of ambiguous dates. They're like, we'll get DID done by the end of 2020. We'll get this by first quarter of 2021. There's not a solid date, but they are getting several projects done. So I would expect early next year based on where Bitcoin is actually right now. Bitcoin's still at 18,000. Some of the alts are catching up, but as you can see, like as Bitcoin headed towards 19,000, some of the coins actually fell backwards. So we're still kind of in this push, tug and pull type of thing. So I think like Bitcoin has to solidly get above 20,000, maybe even above 25,000 before a massive amount of money filters back into alts. The XRP pump is is part bull run, but it's part Spark token airdrop, and we don't really have an airdrop for any of these three tokens. Once the airdrop date is actually over, I do expect Bitcoin XRP to retrace in terms of Satoshi value, and then it'll probably pump again once Bitcoin solidly gets above 20,000. But I think like these three coins will actually pump more than Ethereum, XRP, and all those other like top coins once they actually start pumping. I actually do think ICX might actually have the biggest multiplier because of the guaranteed use case. And if Korea starts FOMOing ICX, it won't be like 30-40% in a day. It might be like 100-200% in a day, as it was back when they actually FOMOed ICX, like back early in the year. VET, you can actually see it moving 100-200% fairly easily in a day or two as well, because they actually did that back in June. ADA, kind of like the same type of thing. ADA might be slightly slower, but like because it's a little bigger than the other two coins, but I do believe the ROI will be pretty massive. You're looking at probably greater than 10 to 20x on all of these coins once the actually pump actually starts. Obviously, like they won't be able to match some of the gains. Like let's say if Kin starts pumping or if Player starts pumping, they won't be able to match some of the potential gains that those coins have. But those coins are a lot more riskier as well, because Kin and Player could basically go kaput at any time. But if those coins start pumping, it's not hard for them to get 400 or 500% in a day, because they've actually done that before. So that's kind of what I expect for ADA, VET, and ICX. I do kind of expect like end of this year, early next year. ADA is much more easy to time because you have the Goguen. VET, you have like food gates, but a lot of the dates are kind of like sporadic. And yes, the Vitho burn does go up, but it can actually trigger a pump at any time. Maybe like once we have the new president inaugurated, this trade war with China actually ends. Maybe like it'll get on American exchanges like Coinbase, and then we can actually start really pumping. Say ICX, maybe a Coinbase listing as well, but we don't really know when that Coinbase listing will actually come. So I would just hold on to all those alts. I'm actually going to go buy some more ICX right now, just a couple hundred more, just to boost up my bag. And I'll be probably buying a couple more thousand ICX before anything else, because I already have bags of VET and ADA. So I'll be buying a little bit more ICX right now, just to boost up my third bag. And I do believe that though these will actually pump much more than like any of the top 3 or top 5 coins in the bull run. So I'm definitely looking forward into like end of Q4 this year and beginning of maybe like mid Q1 next year as to when these coins will actually pump. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.